You're watching Fanboy Versus with your hosts, JD Church, Nicole Hale, Chris Triplett, and Chris McFeely.
And you are watching Fanboy Versus. I am your host, JD, joined this week with Chris Triplett.
Hey!
Chris McFeely is still out. Nicole is having PC problems, so there is all kinds of wackiness. Sorry about last week. We just all kind of had stuff. You had birthdays, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I had leg problems, and McFeely was out then as well. So anyway, we're back. It's episode 67, Fanboy versus the off week. Off week in the sense that we were off last week, but also off week in the sense that it wasn't just a lot of great stuff this week.
And I didn't get my comics this week.
Well, and that too. But I mean, even for the stuff that I picked up this week, it was. I mean, some of the Marvel stuff was okay, but I definitely had this sense that like. The stuff out of DC is all about ending the story and closing the door. So, so I mean, there's kind of like, oh, that's cute, but it's not like cliffhanger stuff because there's nothing to cliffhang, It's like everything's going to be brand new next month. So there's really no, big stuff to do. You can't. I mean, this is the end of your story for a lot of this stuff. So.
I do find that I've been buying a lot of DC books, the final issues of them that I wasn't buying.
Really? Like
like Batgirl. I bought the last issue of Batgirl.
Okay. Now this is with Steph, right? Is it Stephanie?
Yes,
okay.
Stephanie Brown. Yeah.
So cool. Well, yeah.
It's really weird because I have like this morbid thing where I'm more likely to buy the last issue of a series than I am the first issue of a series.
That's the way to keep comics going, right? Buy the last issue. Oh, this is going away? Cool. Well, we had a real big uptick in those last issues. Too bad we didn't have that at the beginning, then it wouldn't have been the last issue.
Yeah.
Nice. So, sort of the Undertaker of comics. That's great. But so what else did you get? Anything else this? So you didn't get any comics this week, but last week you said you got.
Last week I got a few things, but this week I wasn't able to get any comics. But
that's okay.
Yeah.
So new stuff, maybe even from last week and this. You said you looked up stuff. That's great because I didn't.
Yeah, I found some stuff because I figured somebody needed to do it since McFeely wasn't here this week.
So appreciate that. So appreciate that. So
let's look at this. Marvel teasing the return of the Scarlet Spider in Spider Island. A image Marvel sent out that's tied in with Spider Island, and I saw this on comicbookresources.com. Shows Scarlet Spider's kind of hoodie, sweatshirt looking thing that he wore with the spider on his chest.
Right.
You remember this? Yeah. Is like on the floor burning or something, and it's whatever it is. It's an image that's teasing Spider Island. So if they're doing that, it kind of looks like Scarlet Spider's gonna have something to do with Spider Island. We don't know really what. I think they had interviewed Dan Slott, and he had made references to when the Scarlet Spider died and turned into goo, and he said, "What do you really expect us to do with some guy that turned into goo?" So he kind of dodged the question. But
yeah, which though, here's the thing, and I think we said this a couple weeks ago. If Dan Slott wants to just solidify himself into Spider-Man lore, if he hasn't already, which I think
he already has.
I think he really already has. I mean, his run so far.
Did with the beheading of the old Hobgoblin, that was.
Oh yeah, I mean, like it or hate it. I mean, that's
like
just.
It or hate it. Yeah.
But what I'm saying here is that if he wants to solidify himself in the undoubtedly positive, Spider-Man lore, if he can make the Clone Saga somehow retroactively make sense and seem good with a current story, that is just, I mean, that will be like the biggest fucking Houdini trick ever.
It would be amazing.
It'd just be incredible. I don't know. I mean, we've said for years, all you have to do is say Clone Saga and people go, ugh. But if he can, if he could somehow, if this is a vehicle for fixing the Clone Saga, I'm all for it.
Well, the stuff so far with Spider Island's been good. So and that's like heavily going into Clone Saga. Jackal and Kane, and then like remember the other guy that was in the tube. This kind of goes with the Scarlet Spider tease thing. Is we don't know who that other guy was. Remember the guy that was in the clone?
Yes, and that's so where I'm wondering. Yeah.
It's Ben Reilly. I mean, that's where it kind of.
That's kind of what I'm thinking,
like
but then the question is who's the girl, and then there's so many good stuff. Yeah. So we're gonna talk Spider Island actually at the end of this show. So comment from last week, so that'll be good stuff. So okay, cool. Well, that will be interesting.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if this was last week or the week before, but we got the synopsis for the Superman, the Man of Steel movie. And let's see, the synopsis. It's quick. I'm just going to read it real quick.
Okay.
In the pantheon of superheroes, Superman is the most recognized and revered character of all time. Clark Kent Kal-El is a young 20-something journalist who feels alienated by powers beyond anyone's imagination. Transported to Earth years ago from Krypton, an advanced alien planet, Clark struggles with the ultimate question, why am I here? Shaped by the values of his adoptive parents, Martha and Jonathan, Clark soon discovers that having super abilities means making very difficult decisions. But when the world needs stability the most, it comes under attack. Will his abilities be used to maintain peace or ultimately used to divide and conquer? Clark must become the hero known as Superman, not only to shine as the world's last beacon of hope, but to protect the ones he loves. Oh my God, are we getting a Smallville movie? That's what I'm thinking.
I don't know. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, it definitely sounds standard. I mean, it doesn't. I mean, it doesn't. It does sound Smallville in the sense that it's sort of like wrestling demons or something, along those lines, choosing sides or something like that. But yeah, it is Headmaster Don in the chat. It's very generic, and I agree. I think that's just a very generic. It doesn't tell me anything about that. I mean, you could say that about the first Superman movie. I mean, in a way. I mean, without any kind of, it's very vague, which is
it does sound a lot like Superman origin again.
Because we need that. I mean, not every child in the freaking world knows Superman's origin.
Because just like with Amazing Spider-Man, from seeing the first trailer for it, it looks like we're getting that origin again.
They can't help. It's like the writers don't know. Like, pan it as far as the rest of the movie if you want, but give it to Incredible Hulk. They made the movie without retelling his origin. They showed images of it, flashes, but they didn't.
That's how you need to do it, really. Just like in the opening credits, just show a rocket ship flying from the planet exploding.
Exactly. That's all you need.
I don't need anything
Now,
else.
benefit of the doubt. I haven't seen this movie, and it's just the description. So it could be that they're going to do that. But yeah, for a lot of the films that we have seen, I mean, that they say, we're not going to rehash the origin. Everybody knows that. And then what do the writers and directors do? Like, we got to write that in. People won't understand. Yes, they will. Okay, it's lore.
It makes sense, though, why they keep bringing back the origin. Because you want to say that, okay, this is my thing. This isn't for Spider-Man, this isn't the Sam Raimi movie.
It doesn't,
my movie.
But
it kind of makes sense that you want to say, well, okay, this is like how it starts. Because if you just had him going out being Spider-Man, general audiences are going to be like, oh, this is Spider-Man 4. This is, even though it doesn't say Spider-Man 4, it says Amazing Spider-Man on it, they're going to be like, oh, this is Spider-Man 4. Well, what happened to the Sandman? Is he still out there?
Yeah.
Is he going to come back?
Well, and that, yeah, so I don't know.
So I understand it. I don't like it, but I understand why they do it.
I think it's like, I don't know. This is modern, like, classic lore here. I mean, you're talking about, like, this is this is like the Iliad of our times, you know, not in terms of like literary level, but in terms of knowledge level. I mean, you didn't go, like, the Greeks didn't go to plays week after week to watch new shows. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you know how many versions of, like, I don't know, any, you know, Oedipus Rex or whatever. There's tons of versions of those. You know, you just watched it because there were different takes or different variations on the same story. And you didn't even have to retell all of the old bits because everybody knows the story. And that's the whole thing. It's like, you don't have to do that. Like, I thought Incredible Hulk was a compelling and interesting film. Didn't have to retell the origin story at all.
Yeah.
Changed it a little bit just with the title credits because that's a fun thing that you can do with film. So, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah.
I'll mention something, I don't know, you may have had it on the news part, but Headmaster Don is mentioning that Boom Studios is canceling all their Disney titles, which we kind of knew was coming. And Darkwing is going to end at 18 with the crossover with DuckTales. Well, and I put in quotation marks because we know pretty much those are all going to get picked up by Marvel and then be distributed by Marvel overseas. So, so fear not here and overseas people. I mean, and well, that's the whole thing, is that the UK is not getting all that stuff right now.
Yeah, McFeely said he couldn't get a Darkwing Duck at least.
So this is a good thing for the Brits, because that means that they're going to be able to actually get this stuff, because it's going to be done under Marvel and then be able to be distributed over there. So this is not like these titles are going away at all. I would assume
it's like those versions, I guess. You know,
I would say just by sheer fact that they went ahead and bought out the contract, that I would say that they are being done pretty quick. I mean, that indicates to me that Marvel's very interested in picking up those titles. So, I mean, if they didn't care, they would just let the contract run out, which I don't think it's actually out yet. So,
yeah. But yeah, that's definitely some big news.
So that's some good stuff. So we'll look forward to Bendis writing Darkwing Duck. And
oh my God! What's his name? Is it Techno Duck on DuckTales? I want Bendis to write that.
Techno Duck. Oh,
yeah, is that his name?
Gizmo Duck.
I think it's
Gizmo Duck.
Gizmo Duck. Yeah.
Yes.
It's been forever since I watched.
God, I love see. That's what we need, a good Gizmo Duck,
I need
Darkwing
a Gizmo
Duck
Duck
crossover. Oh man.
Awesome.
It's like Superman with an Iron Man suit dealing with Batman. It's great.
Speaking of Disney, recently at the Disney D23 event, apparently they shot off new footage of the Avengers, which you can't see.
Okay.
And we can't see the reaction to the audience, but apparently the audience went crazy for it.
So allegedly the audience went crazy.
Usually the audience loved it and was like, "Oh my God!"
Okay.
And it's like I think we saw I think they mentioned something about seeing the Incredible Hulk, the CG for him in it.
Cool.
Some action scenes, and I'm not gonna spoil it, but I think it pretty much defined who's gonna be the villain for Avengers. So I'm not gonna say anything else about
It's
that.
not who we thought it was, or
it's probably who you thought it was.
because I know we've talked about who we thought it was supposed to be on the show, but.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
But it's probably who you thought.
It's probably who I. Okay.
It's probably who you thought it was.
Okay. All right.
Last bit of news, real quick. Hey, that Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance thing happened.
Yes, that is a real trailer for a movie that is apparently happening.
That is a trailer for a movie, all right.
Yeah.
Do you think about that?
It was okay. I mean, it was pretty. There's a lot of fast shots. It was hard to really see a lot.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't see anything vastly different or compelling from the last film.
I like the redesign look, the more burnt out suit.
Yeah, where the suit looks like it's been burnt.
Skull look to it, where it kind of this grittier, more grungier kind of look to it. I like that. I think that's a good choice.
Yeah.
What happens at the end of the trailer? Maybe.
Yeah, we'll just leave that to y'all. I don't even want to talk about that because that was like, what? Really? I had to back it up and watch again. It's like, does that really? I even like Triplet had quoted it on Twitter, and I went and watched it based on the thing that he said, and I was like, did I just see what I think I just saw? He's like, oh yes.
Oh. Yeah. It's like they had me, with all the little stuff.
I know, it was great, and then it was like it turned into Transformers.
Action and all this stuff, and then like it's like I'm in some sort of a stupid.
It was like,
comedy.
did Michael Bay direct that final scene of that? Like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So, but
I'll go see it. I'll
hell yeah, I love Ghost Rider. I'm not gonna pass up on it.
And you mentioned the thing about Marvel Knights. I think.
Well, I went back for some. I was okay. So I've been laid up, like I said, most of the week, and I've basically just had television to watch. And I happened upon Punisher Warzone last night, which I had never watched, and I came in about maybe halfway or so through. But when I got to looking it up, that film was done under Marvel Knights as well, and apparently that's going to be their like grittier, edgier. I assume that also takes it out of the Marvel proper. So the Marvel Knights is being done still under like Marvel Studios, but I think it's a way for them to separate and say, okay, this isn't in the same film universe as like the Avengers and Nick Fury and Shield and all of that. So
yeah, I was thinking grittier type movies because I was thinking, and also to go with like movies that maybe could still be under the like 20th Century Fox and places like that. Well, I don't remember. Did Ghost Rider, was that one of those 20th Century Fox deals?
It may have been, but it's run out. I think they've lost. I think they got the rights back from Marvel. If it was an early Marvel. It was 2006. They may have been under. I don't know what I'm talking about.
See, because like the reason that they're talking now about doing a reboot of Fantastic Four and doing another Daredevil is because isn't the whole deal that Fox was going to lose those if they didn't make a movie? Isn't that?
Yeah,
some
I think so.
Stuff.
I think I think
so I
Fox.
thought maybe this is like the same deal with Ghost Rider. I was like thinking whoever had it. It's like, oh yeah, we got to make another Ghost Rider, or else we'll lose it, and Marvel will snatch it up.
I don't think so. I don't think that was the case with this one. I think that whatever studio had it, I was like, yeah, take that. It's not like the first Ghost Rider was wildly popular or anything.
What's it going to be like the best movie ever?
That would be so awesome.
Great.
And then they do a crossover with Punisher. That would be really cool. Ghost Rider and Punisher. Yeah. I can dream. So, so that happened.
That's the news. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. Good deal.
Yeah.
So,
not much.
And that's good. No, and we're, of course, again, we're still on the cusp of the new 52. So, that's just 2 weeks away, really, because it's all that stuff comes out on the 31st. So.
Yeah, that's not this Wednesday, but the next Wednesday. Oh my god! And then like 2 comics comes out, right? On the 31st, is that how it works?
From DC, yeah, of course.
Like DC will do what? The last issue of Flashpoint and the first issue of the new relaunched Justice League? Is that the plan? Or
yes.
Does that change?
Yes, it'll be, it's supposed to be Justice League and the end of Flashpoint and then the start of Justice League, so. Ooh. Yes. See, and I ended up getting the last issue of JLA because I didn't realize there was an issue coming out, and I put it on my pull list. And they're like, oh, well, here's the last one. I was like, I didn't want this crap, but I guess I'll read it anyway since that's on my list. So anyway, let's talk some comics. Now, you did not get stuff this week, so you're going to be reviewing stuff from last week. What do you got?
Yeah, just stuff from last week's all I got.
Oh, that's not bad. We weren't here last week, so it's new to us, right?
We weren't here last week, so that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
I got Spider Island Deadly Foes. Thought I'd talk about that.
Excellent.
It's Spider Island time. It's, a big Spidey event. And it's got the Hobgoblin in it, which was the reason why I wanted it. And Dan Slott wrote it, along with
Christos Gage.
Christos Gage. I mean, yeah, this is like the book to buy.
Yeah. I mean, so your first part here is like Slott and Gage, and then the second part is it's Van Lent. I mean, it's like, they just it's like
sounds like when over
the title of this book could have been Spider Island. Oh my God, why have you not bought this book yet? So, and actually, I will say though, funny story about this. It was in my pull box, and I kind of looked at it. I was like, I really like that writing team. I can't really afford another book though. And so I went up to the desk and I was like, I'm gonna put it back, very painfully.
Mm.
And
You would
and
have
he's
made a
like,
huge mistake.
I know. And then he's like, maybe I did decide to keep it. And then he's like, well, it's $5. $5? I can't. And he's like, okay, we'll make it 4. I was like, okay. So.
We'll make it cheaper for you so you'll want to buy it.
Yes, exactly. We would rather take your $4 than your not $5. So that's business,
I don't know what
folks.
that says about Deadly Foes. Oh, we can't sell it to anybody else. This guy's already like halfway there. Just knock a buck off so we can get rid of it.
No. I don't think it was that. My shop is good to me. I love those guys down in New World. So if you're in Oklahoma City, go to New World Comics. Good stuff. Yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry. Deadly Foes.
Spider Island, the Deadly Foes, and it's got 2 stories in it. And I don't know about you, but I enjoyed the Dan Slott Christos Gage story better.
This was the Hobgoblin one.
Hobgoblin, yeah.
I don't recall disliking either one really, but
I didn't dislike the second story, but I felt like more important, there was like more important things to Amazing Spider. Like the first part, the Dan Slott story felt like it could have been in an issue of Amazing Spidey because it ties in with everything that's kind of been going on with Hobgoblin or Winters, because he's got that fascination with her. And the issue, we'll just jump right into it. But basically, the first story is about Hobgoblin, and it kind of recalls his origins. Kind of how he became, the good guy Hobgoblin, and how his, life has kind of gone astray, and how he's now the Hobgoblin, and he's now a bad guy, and he does all that stuff. So we basically kind of get a retelling as how it starts off, and he's just as creepy as this dude is. He's keeping the tabs on Nora Winters, who's the reporter at it's now the Daily Bugle again, isn't it? It's not.
Is it back to the Daily Bugle?
I think they got the name, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I seem to recall that happened.
It was Frontline, right? And then I think they purchased the name, and now they're the Daily Bugle now.
Yeah.
Like prop, I guess. But so he's like keeping tabs on her, and he's like, he's been doing his thing, trying to win her over and get her to quit dating Randy Robertson, and it's stuff's just not working. He's not winning her over. So he's basically just decided that he's gonna go kill Randy Robertson and get rid of him. Because that's what bad guys do. They get rid of people that's in their way. They go and kill them. What we do not know though is that it looks like something's happened to Randy. As there's like a panel here where he's this is sort of in the middle of the whole Spider Island thing. So you got the people running around with spider powers, looting and doing chaos and everything. And Nora's running out to cover, stories on the street about, all the stuff that's going down. And Randy is trying to stop her. And as he's leaving his apartment, we get the little panel where we see that Randy's bent the hell out of his doorknob. I wonder what's going on there.
And that's not easy to do. I don't know if you've ever tried to crush your own doorknob, but
you would want to, but
that's not easy to do.
So she goes out onto the street, to cover the chaos with all the people with spider powers, and Randy's trying to basically talk her into getting out of there. It's not safe because these people are they could hurt her or something. And the Hobgoblin, jumps Randy, and they have like a big fight. And Hobgoblin thinks, "Oh, this is going to be easy. I'm just going to kill this little wimp, and then Nora Winters is going to be his." And then what happens? Randy punches the shit out of him.
Yeah.
Because he has spider powers now. Oh my god.
You never can depend on people to just stay normal. They have to go and get powers when you're trying to kill them,
Yeah. And he basically says, "Buddy, you picked the wrong guy on the wrong day." As he slams the crap out of him. And they they have a big old fight, and Randy's apparently got powers that are different.
He's got some he can shoot quills.
Yeah, he's got these things that shoot out of his arm, and they paralyze paralyze you when they hit you.
Yeah, there's some
Because,
spiders that do that. So.
Yeah, because like Hobgoblin was gonna, just use his screech, that thing that can like disable you, and he can't do it because it hits him in his throat, and he can't do it. His sonic laugh, I think, is what it's called.
Sonic laugh. Yeah.
And so they just have a big fight, and most of it is just a huge fight where.
Yeah, a lot of bantering back and forth.
A lot of bantering back and forth, and Hobgoblin's like, oh, I've got you because. I'm a pro and you're just an amateur with these powers and all this stuff. And what's interesting though is during the whole fight, Randy's trying to get Nora to get out of there. He's totally concerned with her welfare, but all she is concerned with is getting the story.
Right.
I mean, she's not even concerned with really Randy getting
exactly. Like I think more to the point, she's not even interested in his well-being.
No.
Less. I mean, you understand her not being concerned about her well-being, but she's like totally, and she even makes that point here, where because at the end of this, he throws Robbie throws a car or something or some, I don't know what that is on.
Well, before that happens, Hobgoblin's got Randy. He's got him with the flaming sword thing, and he's gonna kill him. And Randy's basically, he's thinking. He says, if I know Nora, she doesn't even see my. Oh wait, this isn't Randy. This is Hobgoblin. Sorry. If I know Nora, she doesn't even see my pumpkin bombs lying there. She's only got one thing on her mind: getting the story. And that's basically right. She could help Randy by just picking up one of those bombs and throwing it at Hobgoblin and saving his life, and she doesn't do it. She's concerned with getting it all on video. But Randy finds a way. He webs him in the face, classic Spider-Man style, and picks up what looks like a car or something, and I don't know what that is, and just slams it down on him and totally taking out Hobgoblin, winning the fight. But then obviously Randy confronts Nora and says, you weren't. He basically says, me, what's the matter with you? I could have died, and he takes her camera away from her, and they have this big fight, and he's pretty much done with it.
I love this line where she's like, well, this is a war zone. My job is a neutral observer. I'm like, what?
She's like the coldest person on earth.
Oh,
and so where Hobgoblin hasn't won, I mean, he didn't kill Randy, he didn't win the fight, but in a way, when we turn the page, he sort of has won.
He lost the battle, but he won the war. I mean, in a sense. He finally, he's been trying all this time to convince Nora that he needed to be with her. And what he really ended up doing is convincing Robbie that he didn't need to be with her. So, and that worked just as good. He seemed just as happy with those results because now he perfectly timed. He was able to present himself as a suitable mate who would, understood her desire to get the story.
He gets loose from the wreckage and runs off and changes his clothes. So he's regular Joe Schmo, and goes in and says, "Hey Nora, I wanted to check on you. I heard you was out here on the streets and all this stuff." And now Nora basically sees him and looks like they're together, and she does obviously doesn't know he's Hobgoblin. So we've got this situation where. Hobgoblin, he's won her affections, and he's a psycho.
Yeah.
It was, and I liked it. I mean, it felt like this could have either been part of a main story in Amazing or a backup or something, but it felt very important because this has been building since he became Hobgoblin.
Right.
And it's kind of interesting that they put it in this. A one-shot instead of actually putting it in the Amazing. So I'm really glad I didn't skip it mostly for this.
Oh, yeah. I think that'll, definitely come into play. So, no, and I think the intention, especially with the writing team and stuff that was on this, was to tell people, and all the indications were that you needed to buy this with, everything else, especially this just being a one-shot, too. So,
yeah. The second story, like I said, it's not my favorite of the two. It's not bad.
I love this intro.
Yeah. And the second story basically starts off with it's in London, and it says some time ago, and it shows a young lady coming back into her apartment, and as we look at her, she looks like Gwen Stacy.
Mm-hmm.
take a look at that.
Yeah.
And she goes to her window, and somebody shoots her through the window.
Which it even took me a second. Like, I had to, like, like, I'm, like, looking back through the panels. Like, what? Oh. Well, that's weird.
See, this is the story that will really show how much I don't really know about the original Jackal clone stuff.
I know. It's
because
like...
I remember that he did make a clone of Gwen Stacy, along with, clone of Peter Parker, but what happened to her is the stuff, like, I figured she just left or something, and maybe this is where she wound up. She's living her own life or something. But, all that stuff beyond, the fact that he made a Gwen Stacy clone, I can't tell you what happened. I have no idea beyond that point. But, so the story begins with her dying. Looks like she's been shot and she's bleeding to death. And then the story jumps to the Jackal at Kane's gravesite sometime after the Grim Hunt, when he took Spider-Man's place and he died. And Jackal he's waiting for him to basically rise. He's this mutant-looking thing. We kind of got snapshots of this in the Amazing Spider-Man issue. If I recall, I think we saw him like coming out of the grave. We just didn't get the extended scene where Jackal, wakes him up and is kind of rescuing him. I guess he's like making it look like he's saving him, rescuing him.
Right.
And a lot of it also kind of goes into showing like clips of like the previous stuff where the Jackal had made the clones, and he made the original clone that fought Spider-Man, and he kidnapped Gwen Stacy, and all that fun 70s stuff.
Right.
We get the scene where the Jackal is he's mutated Kane, and he's turned him into, is he Tarantula?
Tarantula.
Is that what they're called?
Yep.
Yeah. But there's somebody waiting for him. A lady is waiting for him with a gun, with some, very recognizable blonde hair. I wonder who that is.
Yeah. Well.
And
anyway, go ahead.
And so like he banters with her for a while, and then like the Kane mutant thing pops out. He calls her Abby, and I cannot remember if Abby is supposed to be the name of the original Gwen Stacy clone, because we're led to believe that as you read the story, she's the original.
Right.
And when they have this big fight, and he sets the tarantula guy loose on her, she's got some sort of a killing touch power. Again, I have no idea if this is something from another story. I have no idea. But we see her, and she's all decimated, and she kind of looks like a zombie.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like a zombie Gwen Stacy.
And we think that she killed, is the assumption that she killed the other Gwen, or the other Gwen clone?
Well, she's holding the gun.
She's holding a sniper rifle. That would seem to be
holding a sniper rifle, yeah. So
beautiful
I don't know how
panel, by the way. That's just, I love that silhouetted panel.
So I don't know how many Gwen Stacy clones there were, but
who knows?
Who knows? Yeah.
I mean, it's a Jackal,
Yeah, it's the Jackal. Yeah.
I mean, he knows how to like make backup copies. I'm just saying. It's like some people,
And so they have a big fight, and it looks like the lab explodes, and some equipment falls on the Jackal and Abby, the Gwen Stacy clone. The tarantula guy wakes up, who's actually Kane, and she talks to him, and it's like, I can't get out. If you'll help me, we need to work together to stop him. He's bad and all this stuff. And you think he's gonna save her, but no.
Nope.
He saves the Jackal.
Yep.
And as he's pulling the Jackal out, the Jackal's like, I knew I could count on you, son. And the tarantula guy, Kane, basically says, in tarantula speak, she attacked our family. I'm not making that sound. Made me know, had something never had before, a home with you, father. So like Kane is like, he's totally, drinking the Kool-Aid and he's back with the Jackal, I guess.
That would seem
And
to me.
and then we get the introduction of this mysterious woman that's behind everything. When Spider Island was starting up, we thought, oh, it was all Jackal, but no, it's not. There's somebody else that's pulling his strings. And I honestly thought that we were going to find out that was going to be like the
It
big
did
thing.
feel that way, didn't it? It was a little bit of a
Yeah.
striptease almost, just like
It felt like that's where it was going, and it felt like I was going to turn the page, and we were going to get, it was actually this person, and we were going to all know who that character is and everything, and then we don't find out.
nope, you get nothing. Sorry.
Don't get nothing.
Keep reading, folks.
So it was good, but like I said, I felt like the more meatier stuff was in the first part, because that was really the Hobgoblin stuff is what I was more interested in.
I like them differently. I mean, I like the Hobgoblin piece because it was like new information, new current story. I liked the Jackal stuff because it gave a little bit of background, and I thought it was well told.
Yeah, it was explaining some of the stuff that we already knew, but now we're finding out how it happened. We're finding out like how
those events took place.
Tarantula became, how Kane became the Tarantula, and how Jackal got approached by this mysterious villainess, whoever she is. Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it was fun.
So glad that
it was
picked
worth
it up.
the buy. Even at $5, it was probably worth it. I paid $4, so I feel a lot better.
And that is Spider Island Deadly Foes.
Yay!
Good book. Liked it. I was kind of a toss-up on like what else I wanted to talk about, and I kind of felt like just because we needed to talk about the new Avengers number 15 with Squirrel Girl.
Because this is kind of what we've been waiting on, right? I mean,
we've sort of been wanting a Squirrel Girl issue. I mean, like ever since it was introduced that she was the nanny for Jessica and Luke's baby. We've been waiting for Squirrel Girl to have her issue.
Am I gonna?
We get it.
Am I gonna be an asshole for saying I'm just not a fan of this art style? I don't know. I kind of feel like I'm probably an asshole.
I like the art. I mean, the art's fine. I mean, it's just that the thing is, I'm trying to remember. Okay, it was Stuart Amonin that started this series for us, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. And of course, he got pulled off.
And Stuart Amonin's art was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
And this art, it's not bad. It's just that it's we've had better artists on the book, I think.
Well, and Bendis loves, and it's something that he's been doing.
Mike Deodato. I didn't even realize it was Mike Deodato.
Yeah, it's Deodato. But he's been doing these like interview style, like long panels with just various facial expressions, and that just drives me nuts. But anyway, that's nitpicky.
Well, yeah, that's just the fear itself thing.
I guess.
Because I mean, for New Avengers, but not was it? It was in regular Avengers also, wasn't it?
Was it? I don't know. I didn't read regular.
I think it is. Can't remember.
But
right
it's
off, all kind of leading.
And not to take it over, but like right off the bat, my first problem is she's drawn way too sexy. I mean it. It's like part of the allure of Squirrel Girl is like she's like kind of the cute kid next door kind of thing, you know. It's not, not going to be a runway model, but not a dumpster fire,
And see, that's the problem with Mike Deodato's art. His thing is he draws good-looking women.
Yeah, it's like there's no range.
He can't really not draw. Like he can't dial it back down. Like it's either she's a 10 or she's not a 10. That's it.
She's a 10 and that's it. Really, I mean, it's
that's it basically. She's a 10 or she's a robot.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, that was just my first problem. But anyway, okay. Story-wise, though.
But yeah, like you were saying, they're doing the whole interview thing, and she's kind of, do you want to interview me? I'm not really an Avenger, and all this stuff, and kind of playing it back, why do you guys want to talk to me? And then the issue gets into, we start off with Iron Fist and Wolverine having this fight. And where Iron Fist says no claws, Wolverine says no fist. And,
Bendis, you write funny lines.
when I was like reading this and watching the fight, I was like, please don't let Wolverine win this fight. I mean, even if he doesn't have his magic punch through anything fist, he's freaking Iron Fist, for God's sake.
Yeah, really.
You know? He needs to win. And then the fight ends, and Wolverine wins. He just one big punch to his face. Quack, or whack is what it says.
Yeah.
And I like the comment where Wolverine's like, and that was me at about a 6. And Iron Fist says, I was cough at a 3. And he says, sure. Okay. Who's next? And he says, Doreen, get in here. Talking to Squirrel Girl. And I guess we're supposed to be led to believe that, okay, Squirrel Girl's going to go in and fight. Jessica says, yes, do it. She's taking care of my kid. I want to see, if she can, hold her own or something. And I don't know because I've not read a lot of stuff with Squirrel Girl, but I'm assuming that we were supposed to assume that she's not going to win this fight. That she's
No, I mean,
no.
I'm gonna wait until the end, and I'll kind of give my thoughts on this particular issue. And I may be wrong, but we'll go on.
But she goes into the fight, and Wolverine's like, just like old times, and she says, I don't think you remember our old times the same way I do. And again, he says, no claws, just show me what you got. And you've got this, I know you said, like, she's drawn a little too sexy, but I'm kind of terrified when I see this flying at me.
Yeah. Because they finally did the darkened eyes thing. Like, there's a few panels where she doesn't really have the pronounced eyeliner and stuff.
Yeah.
So she finally has it in this shot.
So she, like, jumps on Wolverine and starts attacking him, and, like, Luke is just kind of got this in awe look on his face, like, what the hell?
Okay, then.
And we just get, like, basically a little kind of silhouette of her kicking Wolverine's ass. And she wins, and she's, like, jumping up and down saying, Great Lakes Avengers represent. And she turns her back to Wolverine, and then Wolverine grabs her and says, you never turn your back in a fight. And she says, I know. And he says, do you? And then she says, do you? And then we've got this terrifying scene of an army of squirrels behind Freddy. Oh, my God. That's the scariest hour ever.
Yeah. Again, I'll come back to this scene later. But yeah.
And so, like, yeah, she wins the fight. And it continues on with her interview. And she explains about her motivations for becoming the nanny. Is she kind of was taking the job because she thought maybe everybody would take notice of her, and maybe she would actually have, like, the Avengers say, hey, maybe it's your time, maybe you got a shot at being an Avenger. And this time she's been going back to school, and she mentions about how everybody's always looking at her, and of course, she's a squirrel girl walking through NYU. Of course, people are going to be staring at her.
Right. You have an enormous tail.
Yeah, she said, I had a friend once that said I should change my name to Double Take because I have the power to make anybody do a double take. And there's a scene where she stops what looks like a mugging or possibly a rape. I don't know what's going on. I guess it's a mugging is what it looks like. And the person she saves, she's like, are you okay? Do you need to go to a hospital? And she says, is that normal? Talking about something that's going on behind Squirrel Girl. And then we get, the Nazi robots, flying to Washington, which goes back to, I guess, what was it? Fear Itself #1?
Yeah, right. The beginning of Fear Itself.
Yeah, all these interview stories, it seems like they're kind of taking place
after,
like during or like before, or kind of like all over the place during Fear Itself. But so when Squirrel Girl sees all the Nazi robots, she thinks instantly that I gotta get to the baby. I gotta go save the kid, make sure the kid's okay. And you then get basically a couple of pages of her just looks like she's beating the hell out of Nazi robot as she's trying to get back to Avengers Mansion. Like, here's one where she just jumps through it and it explodes around her.
I mean, yeah, okay, sure.
She like defeats one of them, and like the human that was piloting it She sicks a whole bunch of squirrels on him, of course. And she runs into like a couple more and gets into a big fight with them. We don't really see the end of the fight. And then it jumps ahead to the Avengers mansion where the new Avengers, are preparing to head out to fight the Sin and her Nazi robot people. And as they're leaving, Squirrel Girl then finally shows up, and she looks like she's been torn to pieces. I mean, she looks ragged and blood dripping off of her. She tells them to go on out there and invite them. She'll take care of the kid. Jessica tells her that the security measures will go into effect as soon as they leave. And as they leave, she it looks like she's actually hurt worse than she thinks, because she's got this big old nasty gash in her belly. Yeah. And then the Avengers security system gets activated, and it looks like on the next page that the Nazi robots are going to destroy Avengers Mansion.
Taking on the mansion.
So it's all up to Squirrel Girl, I guess, to defend the baby and save the day. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like ever since they introduced Squirrel Girl into the series, I've been like, when are we going to get Squirrel Girl? When are we going to get Squirrel Girl? When is Squirrel Girl going to do something cool? And I got it, and I'm like, oh, is it? Because then, because it's not, like, Squirrel Girl is like a cult character, in my opinion, She's one of those characters that's like in the periphery. She's done some in continuity pretty amazing things, and she had the whole run with the Great Lakes Avengers and that whole line, which was sort of tongue in cheek and joking. But this seems almost like too serious.
And that's sort of the problem with Bendis getting a hold of characters like that, because he likes those characters that maybe did one thing, one big thing, but it maybe got overshadowed in like the history of Marvel. Like characters like Purple Man. He did a thing with Purple Man, and Purple Man is like this character that if you were to see this character in the comics, you would consider him to be a joke. He felt Daredevil, back in the days. But he takes characters that are like that had like this one thing, and were kind of never really used that much again, and then he tries to make them more serious.
Yeah, and that's that totally ruins the point of what the character is. I mean, like, Squirrel Girl's thing is like, we joke, it's like she beat Thanos, she beat Doctor Doom, she beat Daredevil, and I've said that, or not Deadpool several times, but, those were like, the thing is like those were just particular circumstances where she was in a position to have the tools to do that. So like when she beat Doctor Doom, he was trying to kidnap, or he'd like kidnapped Iron Man, and I think he had taken a helicarrier or something. But anyway, it just so happened that one of the points, like, it flew too low and close to Central Park. And so she just called all the squirrels out of Central Park and just overwhelmed him. And so that's how she beat Doom. And like when she beat Deadpool,
I thought for a minute you were going to say that her secret headquarters was actually in a tree in Central Park.
No.
And it flew too close to her tree.
No, but somehow she had seen that and wanted to help or something. And that was like one of her first outings. But then like later, like a couple years ago, like when she beat Daredevil or Deadpool in a fight, like before he had kind of joined up with them, she again like unleashed a bunch of squirrels on him, and they kept like scratching and scratching and scratching at him. And it finally overwhelmed his healing factor, and he passed out. But he had been like, I think he had been injured right before that anyway, so he hadn't like completely.
So there were all like circumstances.
Yeah, they were all like things where it's like there's very particular reasons why she was in a position to do.
Luck she wins.
Exactly, and that's why she's cool, because it's just like she's that right place, right time, and did these awesome things, but. It was really, you can say there's other stuff that, sort of made that happen. And that's what, to me, made the character cool. She's otherwise, to me, like I said, not saying that she isn't, like,
attractive, but not like sexy. Like, I don't know that I would ever describe Squirrel Girl as unless you're into like the kind of semi-emo goth sort of thing, maybe, but with a big squirrel tail, you know, or furries. Maybe if you're into furries, then you might think that, you know, Squirrel Girl is attractive. But really, I always think of her as more like a kid sister. Like, that's the sort of like character that I think of Squirrel Girl. Like, she's your kid sister. It's like, you know, she's putting on the squirrel tail and running around. That's fun, you know.
And then in this, she's like way too much badass.
Oh yeah, and now Bendis has ruined all of that because now he's turned her into a legitimate badass, and it's Drift. It's like, for those of you not in the Transformers, you know, fandom, I don't know why you're watching the show, but no, I'm kidding. But anyway,
who are you? If you're watching the show.
No. But anyway, it was something that happened recently in the Transformers mythos, and it's not something that's uncommon. I'm sure there's a better reference. But basically, they came up with this character and decided, this character's awesome. And all they did was presented the character and said, this character is awesome, and watch them be awesome. And, you know, that's essentially what they're doing here. They're just saying, like, this character's awesome. If you have no idea who Squirrel Girl is or anything that came before, you're just being presented with a character that you're being told is awesome and is doing a bunch of awesome stuff, but you have no reason to understand, why this awesome character has not been around doing more awesome things more recently.
And see, I've never read, like, some of the other stuff. I know of it, and I know of, like, the jokes with Great Lakes Avengers, and I assume that she was basically just a joke. So when I'm reading this, I'm like thinking, oh yeah, he's taking the joke character and he's making them a legitimate badass. That's what he's doing.
Yeah, and I just, I'm so disappointed. Like, this is, like, I wanted a story, like, featuring Squirrel Girl doing something, but not this. Like, this is just,
if it wasn't in Fear itself, if it was in, like, just some regular issue where, okay, like, the Masters of Evil attack Avenger Mansion and all the Avengers are gone fighting Thanos.
And it's like a Home Alone kind of deal. Like,
and then
you
she,
know.
like, does just something, like, just, again, out of dumb luck, she somehow finds a way to defeat the Masters.
Beats the whole Masters. Yes, like, see, that would be it. Like, you get it. Like, that's
the
what
Avengers
Squirrel
come
Girl...
back and they say, hey, how was the kid? Oh, she was a little gassy before, but everything's okay now.
Yeah, exactly. Da-da-da. Freeze frame. You know. Credits. Yeah, exactly. Like, that would be Squirrel Girl. This is just, I don't know.
That's what we were waiting for. And we didn't get
no, that's not what we got. Thanks, Bendis. Way to screw that up.
Yeah, we're going to start referring to that as he Bendis it up.
Yes. Yes. So here you go. Fanboy Versus, we have invented the term Bendising up the show, guaranteeing that he will never do an interview with us.
That's okay. I think I can live with that.
On the show. No, usually I've really enjoyed New Avengers. There's been a lot of good stuff on it. And it's not that this is a bad story, it's a fine story.
Yeah.
It's just not what I was wanting out of Squirrel Girl. And that happens,
just
you know.
Wrong place, wrong time for this story. Maybe.
Well, not even wrong. I wouldn't even say that. I would just say it's the wrong. Thematically, it's not what typically happens to that character.
Yeah.
So, anyway.
And you can't really do the story we wanted during the Fear itself time because everything's so serious. Bucky's dead, you know.
Yeah, I know. It's like Fear itself is this.
Yeah.
World is ending.
World is ending. Everything is bad.
We're not going to review Fear itself, but I was a little disappointed with the Deus Ex sort of event in there where. So there's an event where Hulk and Thing, hammered up versions, are fighting Thor, I guess. And Thor actually calls Mjolnir and it flies through the Thing and seemingly kills him. And then Franklin uses his powers to magically restore him, I guess, or how his powers work. And it was just kind of like, really? That's what you're gonna go with that? Oh. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, because we'd already established in the FF book that he didn't lose his powers; he still has it. And
well, I know, but it was just like in that moment, it was just kind of like that was what you came up with to do that sequence, not lose his hammer, not redeem himself in any way.
I mean,
You know.
we're talking about Fear itself here. I mean, what else do you want? You know, it's not been great.
You know, I want consistent characters across storylines.
But despite these problems, I'm beginning to think it's turning out better than Flashpoint now.
So far.
Sad. Yeah.
So far, mainly because Flashpoint stalled after like the
Yeah.
second issue. So
I mean, things happen in this issue of Fear itself. I mean, it's mostly a big fight, but there are things that happen that shot the story forward a little bit more. Not like in Flashpoint, where basically nothing happened for like 3 issues.
right. Yeah.
You know.
So
Yeah.
all right. So, and I guess that's it for your good.
Yep. Yep.
Solid
Yep,
with that.
I'm
Okay, good. So I will start with something that I never read, which is Justice League of America. Now, mind you, when you start a new pull sheet, you might want to keep track of when issues start, especially when there's new stuff. So, like with this new 52, I filled out my pull sheet last week, and I said I wanted to read the Justice League because, I do. But not the current one, which I didn't realize there was an issue coming out this week. So I got the new one. So I was like, oh, well, that's just fine.
Yeah, because if you tell them you want to get a book, they assume you want that book like pronto.
Like now.
They want to sell you
'Cause
those comics. So yeah, you gotta be careful.
Yes, they want to sell you it now.
I had to be specific when I said I would like the new Punisher.
Yeah.
Not Punisher Max.
Yeah.
Not Punisher whatever that's out there right now.
Frankenberry
I would like the new
Punisher.
red Punisher comic.
So, I am going to just run through this real quick, just because I thought it was interesting. Most of this issue is a various flashback. You know, when you get to that, like, it's like that last episode of some series, like the way they'll end it is all the characters will sit around and like, remember that time when we did that thing? That was cool. Hey, I remember when you did that one thing. That was pretty awesome. Yeah, we learned a lot when that one thing happened. That's what this issue is.
Do you remember that time that we like changed Batman's memory and we turned Dr. Light into a vegetable?
Yeah,
Wow,
remember that? Wasn't that great? That was a lot of fun. Those were the days.
Yep.
But so most of this episode issue takes place with the current JLA roster of people that you probably haven't heard of on the satellite after they've just finished doing something. I don't know what's going on. And they basically all just sort of one by one start to give their reasons for why they're leaving. So Supergirl wants to strike it out on her own, and Donna's doesn't feel the need to be a fighter anymore, and I don't know, the gorilla guy wants to go make Africa a better place, and the Wonder Girl's going to have a baby, and Jade is going to rebuild the Emerald City on the moon, and Dick's going to go back to being Nightwing, and I mean,
Does he explain why he wants to go back to being Nightwing?
It doesn't really, and it was kind of
I'd
like
to know that. Like, okay, I was Batman, but now I guess I'm gonna be Nightwing.
No,
again.
I mean, there's just kind of a line in here, where he says that, the being, Batman Incorporated is taking up a lot of his time, and he assumes that Bruce will want him back as Nightwing, before too long, which he says would be a relief. I don't know how forced that is, because it seems like that could be, it's kind of like, well, we're putting him back in that direction.
Bloodhaven really needs me. And it'll be really confusing if I show up in Bloodhaven as Batman.
Yeah.
So
I need to do that as Nightwing. That's when Cassius has a baby. I don't know. It's the speedster on the team, the chick. I don't know what her name is. I don't know anything about this roster, so I'm.
I should know. I've been buying JLA, but I fell so far behind. I need to read them.
Yeah.
I used to really like James Robinson. I think he was a really good writer, but in the last couple of years, he's just kind of, I don't know, fallen.
I mean, it does seem like it's like, oh, I should have been reading this. This is kind of cool. But
I mean, had Dick on the Justice League. I mean, that is a good enough reason for me to.
Is that the chick, Jessie Quick? Is that her? She's a red and yellow. It's got like this thing with wings on it. I don't know. Maybe it is.
Yeah, Jessie Quick has like a red and yellow suit. Do you have an image of it?
I can put her up.
I can look at it, see if it is her.
As soon as I find a good page here with her on it. But, yeah, there we go. I think, well, let's see. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. But, let's see. No? Anybody?
Yeah, I think it's Jesse Quick. Yeah, you had it there for a second. You got to move it over. There you go.
Sorry.
Yeah, I think that's Jesse Quick.
Okay.
Looks like her.
Yep. So anyway, yeah. But like I said, I mean, I kind of liked it just because it was like, even as an outside reader, like I'm reading this and going, I'm kind of touched. They're all going their separate ways. They're clearing the table.
It's ending. Oh, no.
Yeah, it's an actual ending. You know, it's not just like some of the DC stuff, which is just like, oh, by the way, this is it. You know.
And would this be like the Justice League that you would? I know you were like talking about how we were going back to kind of status quo for Justice League with the relaunch. Is this more of a Justice League you'd be more interested in reading, because it's kind of like dudes from all over the place? You know, you got an ape guy, for God's sakes. You know, and you've got like a
I mean, there's an ape guy,
Starman guy.
Yeah, and the Star guy. I don't know what his deal is. That's cool. Jade, awesome, sort of Green Lantern-ish, but not really. I mean, yeah. I mean, it sounds kind of interesting. You know,
it's too
but
bad it's ended.
I'm a comic book reader. You know, I'm like a devoted comic book reader, and so like that's where, you know, for me, it's kind of like I can see where that might not appeal to a larger audience. So I get it, you know, and that's where I say, but so it's big ending, adjourned, Justice League adjourned. So as they all go their separate ways, and then the 52 thing will happen, and none of them will be back, but you know.
Some of them might show up somewhere.
But they're not going to be on this team. Well, I guess Jade is. Is Jade on this team? No, Jade's gone.
Is Jade in International? Is she going to be doing that, or is she something else?
I don't think she's on International. So many of like
remember.
the characters that are either from the Golden Age or are associated with the Golden Age, you know, are just gone. I mean, there's no.
Yeah, like the JSA isn't coming back, but I think didn't we hear something that not in the 52 relaunch, but JSA will be returning sometime later?
Maybe.
I think I've heard that.
So, so the other book I'll give some attention to, and again, I'm not going to go into great detail on this one, is Booster. Last Booster. So Booster's not continuing in the 52, but he will be in the new 52 as the leader of the JLI. So he is going to be in it. Again, I'm not going to go through. The first part is kind of weird. I was kind of jolted. I'm like, did I miss an issue? Because they didn't really explain the part where, because in the beginning of this, Booster and the other woman that's been helping him were captured. But in the last bit, it looked like Doomsday was actually going to kill Booster, but apparently he was just captured. So,
so has the Booster stuff with Flashpoint, has it mattered? I mean, has it done anything to help?
It will.
Flashpoint?
Well, sort. I wouldn't say it helped Flashpoint. I would say it helped tie up some of the loose ends and draw some of the circles back from Jurgen's run, like on the search for Bruce Wayne or whatever. That the separate run that he did. So was that Search for Batman? I guess there was Superman, Green Lantern, Booster.
Are you talking about Time Masters? Is that what it was?
It was that Time Master. Oh yeah, the Time Masters.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, that one.
That's the one I didn't read. I read
Yeah.
Search for Bruce Wayne, or The Return of Bruce Wayne, or whatever it was, but the other one I didn't read.
Right. Yeah, and and that's the Time Master's Vanishing Point. It tied up some loose ends from that. In kind of an awesome sequence in this, though. So they're in. Of course, this is General Nathaniel Adams' kind of office, the control area for Doomsday, and Doomsday is sort of sitting there inert, and the general doesn't have like his control helmet on, and somehow Booster like knocks over some railing. He gets a hand loose and blasts parts of like the railing lights down, and they knock the helmet out of Nate's hand, and he loses control of Doomsday, so Doomsday starts going nuts, especially because he saw an image of Superman, because they saw the released Superman on the screen. And so Doomsday starts going nuts, breaking everything, and of course they still don't trust Booster because they think he's an Atlantean, even though he looks nothing like an Atlantean. I don't know what that's
He's
all
got
about.
that suit, though. It makes him look weird.
I guess so.
He's wearing something that makes him breathe.
He looks different, kill it!
He's different. He's wearing something that looks like he's breathing on land. He looks like he should be underwater. You know?
Yeah. So Nate loses a control helmet, bit of a scuffle. Booster looks like he's going to get pierced through with the by Doomsday. And then the chick that he's been working with picks up the control helmet and puts it on. And, like, takes over control of Doomsday. And makes him stick out his claws and then into his own chest and start tearing himself apart.
God.
Yeah, like there's this amazing panel where he just like reaches into his own guts and just eviscerates himself.
And see, what's really awesome about Doomsday is that when Doomsday dies, whatever killed him can't kill him again. So that means Doomsday can't kill himself anymore.
Well,
he comes
that's
back.
that's good to know. Yeah. So
suicides for you, Doomsday.
there's an image on the screen. I mean, so Booster whatever gathers her back up, but I guess everybody else is unconscious. So what he's saying is he's trying to get access to chronal energy. All the chronal energy in his suit is burnt out, and he's trying to get access to some chronal energy, which he figures he can get from Barry once he figures out that Barry's here, because he sees Barry on a screen. So they go flying off to wherever that Atlantean Amazonian war is going on, and
the one in Flashpoint number 5 or
something? The most recent one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Booster catches up to Flash. They have a very brief, unimportant conversation, and he's got the girl flying with him, and he like grabs onto her, absorbs the chronal energy from Flash, and he's going to take her with him to go wherever it is that he's going to go to straighten everything out or to do whatever. And but she gets like shot sort of in the process, and they get separated. And he shows up alone at Vanishing Point, at the Vanishing Point station. And
that's like the center of time or something?
It's at the end. Vanishing Point exists, at a point at like the end of time.
Okay.
So, and all the monitors are blank, which is kind of odd. Usually all the monitors are showing bits of history that are going on, but, there's no one there. And his suit is all destroyed, so the last thing he says is that he's got to get a new suit. So, to me, like, the implication of, like, that and this whole sequence is that it's retaining Booster's memory. So, Booster should be one of the few characters in the New 52 that will remember the previous timeline.
Is if he was going to be one of the characters that will, remember everything as it was before the relaunch.
Yeah, and I think that's the indication here. So, it'll be an in-continuity way to explain why he gets a new uniform, or a new suit, but it should, since he's at Vanishing Point, and Vanishing Point essentially sort of exists at the end and outside of time, it should preserve him from the time shift that's going to happen at the end. But here's the really interesting bit, I thought. I know McFeely would be throwing a fit right now, so I'm kind of glad he's not here for this part. But at the end of the Time Masters series, there was the chalkboard, of course. And the chalkboard, Rip didn't write the stuff on the board. He mentioned that came from somewhere else. Yeah. So what happens here is, of course, this girl's ability is to, she has like a meta-human ability to like absorb powers. And I would assume that her contact with the time stream gave her time-traveling power. So anyway, she shows up basically right after Booster came back, and the chalkboard was blank, and then she picks up the chalk and writes on it, and she's the one that writes all the stuff on the chalkboard.
Yeah.
So she's the one that gave all the, indications of stuff to come. Now, like I said, most of this stuff we had kind of figured out what it was, but there's one question on here looking at it from that direction that makes me sort of think I have an idea maybe, or another idea of what changed, because we still don't know what Professor Zoom changed. So this is maybe spoiler for some people. If you don't care to hear my theory, then fast forward a minute. It's not a very interesting theory, so it's probably wrong. But one of the questions on here is, why did it have to be Bruce? Which obviously pertains to Bruce Wayne, but it would seem to anyway. The reason I bring that up is because when this was first presented, it was right after the return of Bruce Wayne. And when we didn't know what Flashpoint was going to be, I think the assumption was that it had something to do with, why did Bruce have to die, or Bruce come back, or what was his importance.
Yeah, why did he die in Infinite Crisis? Or,
exactly.
But
now we
Final
know that
Crisis.
all of this stuff refers to stuff within the Flashpoint universe.
Yeah.
So the question on there, why did it have to be Bruce, I think answers itself in the sense that because Bruce died and not Thomas, it made Thomas become Batman, and that's what delayed the Silver Age. Because essentially you're saying that, Bruce coming in and, being the type of Batman that he was, solidified, brought everything together. But Thomas still being alive, they talked about how everything changed for Thomas. He started the casinos and did, all the other stuff.
He sort of stalled. If you read the miniseries that Brian Azzarello did, he sort of stalled what he was doing. He didn't move forward. He was obsessed like Bruce was, but to the point that he wanted to kill. He even kills Joe Chill. He finds him and he murders him.
Yeah.
In that series.
So I think the indication for me is, I think that might be it. That might be the thing that causes everything to be different. That somehow, Zoom managed to change that scenario where Thomas lived and Bruce was killed. So,
well, he is one of the big three, and honestly, without Batman, then Wonder Woman and Superman sort of don't become better people. He's sort of, you know what I mean?
And you go back, but you have to go back and think about all the stuff that Thomas does. I mean, it's all those things that Thomas would have done that would have been in that period that, could have caused all of those difference to, in particular, some of the Golden Age characters as well. Because that would have been around that same time. So, I don't know. That's my theory. Take it or leave it. I don't know. We'll find out in 2 weeks. So, it's probably terribly wrong. Who knows? It could be a lot of things, but
honestly, at this point, I'm more interested in what will be changed to create the relaunch. That's what I'm more interested in right now. Not what changed to the world of the Flash, Flashpoint, but what they're going to do when they fix it and what they didn't do to make everything go back the way it was before.
Yeah, because that'll be, and I think that'll be part of the in-story stuff is that, something that they'll do will slightly alter that moment and change everything that comes, after it. So,
I do love that Booster is one of the characters that might remember, because if you're gonna have a character to remember the old universe, it's got to be the guy that's sort of a hero that nobody even puts any kind of actual trust in.
Right.
It's like, oh yeah, in this other world, blah 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 happened. Of course, Booster, bye,
right.
Walks away from him.
Yeah.
But it did happen. I saw it. Sure,
right.
Whatever.
But Booster's pretty good about that. I mean, he's seen a lot of things change and not been privy or stuff, or not made other people aware of that. So anyway, there you go, Booster, last Booster, QQ. So anyway, I'm excited about JLI though. That's gonna be that should be a good series. So
God, it's got Guy Gardner on it.
I know.
My
Batman,
God.
Guy Gardner, Booster, Red Rockets.
Yes.
Rockets Red. I always get his name backwards. I don't know which is right. I just say both. So anyway, on to the top of the show then. End of the show. Whatever. Spider Island, Amazing Spider-Man 667, Part 1 of Spider Island.
Which we technically had part 1 because it was the prelude, but it
was the
felt
prelude.
like a part 1.
It did feel like a part 1. It wasn't, but it sure felt that way.
Yeah.
I read this last week. Did you read this more recently than I have?
I read it a couple days ago.
When did you take point and follow along?
Okay. Well, so like it starts off at the end of the last issue, Carly was trying to tell Peter that she's now got spider powers, just like everybody else. And he was too busy, you know. He was doing the Spider-Man thing. He was doing his job thing. He was doing the Future Foundation thing. He literally had no time, you know, to talk to her. So we get kind of like, you know, after at the end of the last issue, he comes home to his apartment, and we get kind of like the next page is what it looks like, because we get this panel of what looks like Carly and Peter sort of separated. And from looking at it at first, it kind of looks like Peter is the one that's like hanging from the ceiling. And I'm like thinking, what happened? Is he telling her that what in the world? And then you turn the page and it's actually Carly that's on the ceiling.
Yeah.
And this is how she's breaking it to him that she's got the spider powers. And you get this great little scene where Peter's like, my girlfriend, Carly Cooper, has spider powers. No, not cool. Definitely not cool. Oh, this happened right after we, you know, took our relationship to the next level. Kissing, swapping spit, sharing the odd toothbrush and whatnot. Did I give her a spidery transmitted disease? I laughed out loud.
Oh my god, this is awesome.
He's blaming himself. He thinks he's giving her powers. He doesn't know what's going on out there yet, and it's great. It's just one of those Dan Slott moments. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. They just like he's playing it off like, oh wow, you got spider powers, just like Spider-Man.
Well, that's just great. That's wow. That's swell.
Yeah. It's like, and she's like, and it's not only the wall crawling. I can shoot web. She has organic webbing, by the way. Boo. Organic webbing. And I've got spider strength. Check this out. And Peter, like, you know, touches her muscle and says, you know, it doesn't look much bigger, but it's as hard as a rock. Yep, it sure is. And she like picks him up, and he's like, hey, you know. He acts like, oh, and she's like, hey, did I hurt you or something? And he's like, no, I'm okay, you know. But he kind of like plays it like, oh, I'm scared, you know, you picked me up in the air and everything. And he's freaking out, you know. He's like, we got to find out what's wrong with you. We got to take you to the hospital and all this stuff. And she's like enamored with it. She thinks she's gonna like start fighting crime like Spider-Man and all this stuff.
Yeah, like she's all ready to start her superhero career here. She's like, I got these powers. I'm a crime fighter. I'm ready to go. I just need a suit,
I'm ready to go.
Yeah, a costume, maybe just a little bit of tech, and then I'm just ready to go. He's like, no, time out.
Peter remembers he needs to drop off his aunt and Jay off at the airport because they're leaving town. They'd forgot about it, and she's like, "Oh, all right, you know, oh yeah, boy, when you're a superhero, all this secret identity stuff blows. I should be out on patrol or something. That'd be awesome." And he's like, it's like, great, she's a superhero now, just what the world needs, you know. Another Spider Woman, and then you know it switches story to the Madam Web. So we get a little scene with Madam Web and Shang-Chi, and they're watching what looks like, you know, some sort of like, you know, gangsters meeting or something, and it turns out that this is like the meeting that Jackal is having with the people that he's given powers, you know, those certain individuals, and I guess these are like the worst ones, you know, these are the ones that, you know, are going to cause the most chaos or something. And they're, you know, fighting with each other, like on the next page. Like basically, these are rival gangs that it's like, oh, you know, you don't mess with me now because I got spider powers. Like they all don't know that each one has it, and then they start fighting. And it's like, oh yeah, well I got spider powers too. This guy kicks this guy in the face, you know. And Jackal basically breaks it up, and you know he tells everybody to calm down. Why fight your? What basically he says, why fight amongst yourselves when you could go out there and just take what you want and all this stuff. And he gives them Spider-Man costumes,
which
and,
is. Yeah, and which is so screwed up because you're just like, as soon as that happens, you know what's coming.
Yeah, there's going to be chaos. And it's not just like the traditional red and blue. It's like anything spider. I mean, I think in the next couple of pages, I might have even seen some guy like in spider armor at some point.
Yeah.
There's like the black and white costume. There's the stealth suit. I'm like looking on the next page because like basically chaos is happening. Everybody is just just taking what they want, doing what they want, and they got.
I think I even saw someone in like the Ben Reilly.
The hoodie. Yeah, somebody's like.
But even
hoodie
there's a Scarlet Spider back there.
Yeah.
In this one really big 2-page spread.
And so, like, Mary Jane's out there in the thick of it, and she's trying to save some kid from getting crushed by some dude with spider powers. And then, like, a future Foundation Spidey shows up and says, "Quick thinking, Redhead." And MJ says, "Tiger, is that you?" And he, like, moves his mask up, and we see it's not Peter. And he says, "Oh, I'll be your tiger, pussycat. I'll be anything you want." And he's like, "Ew."
Yeah.
So we don't know. It's literally like you don't know if one of them's Spidey or not. So the Avengers and everybody is just going to start taking them out because like the thing like knocks the dude out.
Yeah.
The next page. And that is where sort of the problem comes in because now. How is Spidey going to help? I mean, literally, you'll be lost. You'll be lost at a sea of people,
Well, it's not like he can say, well, it's me because I'm so-and-so because they don't know who he is. I mean, maybe he can do that for Ben, but...
Yeah. But, like, the scene shifts, and we've got, like, basically Carly and Peter look like in a traffic jam on the bridge, and they hear about basically all the people with the spider powers. And Peter, he's needing to go and do something, but then Carly's like, "I'm on it." Basically, is what she's.
It was awesome.
She jumps on the top of the car and he says, "What do you think you're doing?" And she says, "What's it look like?" "Now, honey, I need you to stay here, out of harm's way, because this looks like a job for." And she shoots her webbing and speeds away. Your friendly neighborhood spider cop. And then Peter's like, "So that's what that feels like."
It's just perfect, total role switch. Love it.
Yeah. So he switches his costume so he can go and try to help. You get this great scene with Jameson. This is just awesome, where he's basically talking. He says, "It's a citywide epidemic. Shutting down bridges and tunnels isn't enough. You don't know these web-slinging weirdos like I do."
He's like, "I was right. I knew it."
He's like the general that's like been in the 100 wars with Spider-Man. He's like the guy you go to
No,
now.
this is more even like the fringe nut though. That's like he's like, "I've been saying for years the aliens are going to be coming, and now they're here, and you made fun of me for preparing, and now we're ready."
It's awesome. Great. He's like, "Alert the Air Force and National Guard. We are clamping down on our airspace stat. We're on it, Mr. Mayor," somebody says. And he says, "In full deployment of the entire anti-spider patrol. You all mocked me for putting 30% of the city's budget into it. Well, who's laughing now?"
Yeah, exactly.
You're a dag-blasted visionary, Jameson. Damn right I am.
Hell yeah.
I swear this is the reason God himself put me on this earth. Mark my words, this will go down in history. He says, "As Mayor J. Jonah Jameson's finest hour." I love Jameson.
Which is beautiful because it's juxtaposed by this almost 2-page spread of chaos.
Yeah.
Just, and here's more, spiders. The Iron Spider here, the Armored Spider, the cloak suit. I mean, there's, yeah, it's pretty much like, if you think about it, that Spider-Man costume is probably in here.
Yeah, it's like any kind of identity he's had at some point. And then, like, the Avengers and the Future Foundation are fighting him, and then Spidey tries to get involved. He tries to talk sense into Miss Marvel. He says, "Hey, Miss Marvel, I'm looking for a girl." Miss Marvel says, "Yeah?" And she says, "Well, you're not getting your hands on this one," and then kicks him in the head.
Yeah. And it's like, that's exactly what I thought would happen.
Yeah, and like he's trying to talk to him, but I mean, all they see is an army of people in spider costumes with spider powers tearing up the city. They're not even thinking that it could be Peter. So, like, Thing gets a shot on him. Iron Fist hits him. He's trying to talk to him, and then up above them, Madam Web and Shang-Chi is watching over the scene. And Madam Web's like talking like she'd made a reference like early on about something where, this is when it says, yes, we watched as Spider-Man was struck down by his own friends and teammates. Like she had foreseen this. This is something she saw happening. And she's trying to stop Shang-Chi from getting involved. But he says, that man is my friend and my ally. I will not abandon him. And he just jumps in to go and try to help him. And she says, fine, go to him. The web will allow it now because my champion has learned the first lesson of Spider Island. Even though he shoulders great responsibility while he's here, all of his great powers are absolutely meaningless. And then we end it with, the page of like all of the people with the spider powers just kind of knocked out. And Spidey, I guess, is in there somewhere. But, honestly, I can't
He's
tell.
the one saying,
There he is. Okay. But, just like the Avengers, maybe I couldn't tell either, take them all out, is what they were thinking.
Exactly.
And But yeah, good issue. I liked it.
Yeah, that's a good intro to the series. It's definitely, it's wondering how they're gonna figure out the who is he part and what to do. I mean, it's just like total chaos now. There's just no, and I think it's only gonna get worse because I think the indication is that some of the people from the powered community are gonna get spider powers as well. I didn't talk about it, but I did pick up the Spider-Girl issue, and spoiler for that one. But the big reveal at the end of that is, and part of that issue is actually the Hobgoblin, in the middle of all the stuff, like Spider-Girl's fighting people and stuff, and then she gets picked. Oh, I know. The Society of the Wasp, I guess, which is opposed to the Society of the Spider, which is what she had sort of been part of for a while. They're fighting. They're like, they see a bunch of spider people and they go nuts. They're like, kill the spiders. So she's out fighting them, and she gets picked up by Hobgoblin, who of course takes her back to Kingpin because that's who Hobgoblin works for. And the Kingpin, I don't know, he talks about making her an offer that would be beneficial for both of them. But in the last panel, he starts climbing the wall because he has spider powers now.
The Kingpin has spider powers?
The Kingpin has spider powers.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
That's the one guy you want to have spider powers.
No, he's already quite powerful on his own, and then now he has spider powers as well. So, yeah, I think that's kind of the indication that, that some of the powered community, villains as well as heroes, probably will start to get powers as well. So, interesting. I'm still, I'm continuity. I hate. It's always in my head, and I'm just kind of like, how does this fit in with the Fear itself, time-wise? Where, no,
it doesn't.
Just pretend. Just pretend
it's like,
that.
It's going on. Maybe before it, maybe after it, maybe during it. I don't know. Marvel's having a bad month. The Marvel universe.
Yeah, it's not. The entire island of Manhattan is being overrun by wasps and spiders and Nazis.
The question you should really be asking isn't how does it fit. Why is Spider Island better than their big crossover?
Ooh.
That's the real question you should be asking. Because it's a lot better.
Yes. So.
Why wasn't this Fear itself? Oh, Fear of the Spider.
Fear the Spider. Fear the Spider. That would be it. So, yeah, that's it. That's pretty much the show this week. Not a super long show, I guess.
Yeah, we're missing half of our cast, so,
But we had fun. See?
Yes.
We can do a show without McFeely. I have to. There was an email trade back and forth. I sent an email out to the crew earlier this week, and McFeely's it says that he wasn't going to be here for this episode, and he dared me to do an episode without him.
Dared us. I saw.
I accepted that dare and executed
had to be here because of that.
See. So, yes, we can do Fanboy Versus without McFeely. It has just been coincidental that Fanboy Versus had been canceled when he wasn't available. But there were other reasons as well. So, we can do this show without McFeely. So,
By the way, I'll mention, I don't think I mentioned at the beginning of the show, but I'll mention at the end of the show. How do you like our new look? So we kind of redesigned the look for the show, visually, mind you. If you're listening to the show, it doesn't sound any different. But if you do check out the show at blip.tv/TFRadio or at our YouTube channel for TF Radio Network or anywhere else where you may download it, who knows where it propagates to. But here it is, new look for the show. Brian helped me a little bit, and I did most of the design for this. But there's a 4-panel format for this as well. So, so send us feedback. Tell us what you think. It's right there at the bottom. So for the Twitter link, Fanboy Versus website, fanboyversus.com or tfradio.net as well for that. So there you go. Check it out. Also, check out, Twitter names. So if you want to follow us on Twitter, there you go. That's how you do it right there. Our Twitter names are on the screen as well. I try to make it easy. I mean, if I could put links on this screen that worked, I would do that, but I can't. So you might have to type those in. But there you go. Follow us online on Twitter.
I'll say I like the look of it.
So thank you.
Good job.
So anyway, all right. Well, we will be back next week. Few interesting things out, but I'm not sure what. Hopefully, we'll have a full crew and have everything back. But otherwise, Chris, thanks so much, man, for coming in today, and we're actually doing a show. It's very exciting. So
Yes.
I hate missing a week. I really hate missing a week, but there was just no way that I physically could have, even for the, this is kind of a short show for us, but I'm going to have to go put my leg up for a while. So, I guess I should mention I had cellulitis in my leg. It's like an infection. I'm on like these uber antibiotics. I had like 2 antibiotic shots and all kinds of good stuff. I have a lot of medical problems, apparently. It just happens to me, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. I'm hoping I'm almost over all this stuff, but
I hope you get to feeling better.
I feel physically fine. It's just the, pain. Actually, I had fevers and stuff. Anyway, it's not important. What is important...
But the plus side is you're getting to watch a lot of Netflix, which is awesome.
I am. A lot of Netflix, downloaded. I'm watching G Gundam now, so... But Headmaster Dawn suggests that I might be getting spider powers. That would be awesome. I do think one of the doctor's suggestions was that I had been bitten by a spider.
Oh my
and I was
God.
like, why couldn't it be radioactive? That would have been awesome.
It doesn't have to be radioactive. It's one of those jackal, bed bugs.
Oh, it could be. Oh, yeah. It could be, or radio. I guess the new thing is genetically altered, right? So that's the.
Yeah.
I need a genetically altered spider to have bitten me. But really, it's like, what was it, Family Guy or something, where it's like they did the whole episode where they got hit by the radioactive goo, and then they made some allusion to, no, really, when that happens, people, they usually just get sick and die. So, it's like, oh, well, that's great. So, anyway... Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate it again. Oh, one more thing I want to mention. If you go to the website, tfradio.net, we have a survey set up for PodTrack. Do us a huge favor, and please go to the website, hit the link, do the PodTrack survey for us. You don't have to put in a lot of personal information. I know some of that stuff I was able to skip, but mainly it's the stuff for like our show and demographic and that kind of stuff. Why are we doing that? Well, it helps us out. It's going to give us some basically notoriety with PodTrack. That is going to help us, 1, reach more listeners. 2, it's going to help us provide content for the show. So things like contests, prizes, things like that. I mean, that's going to be ways that we're going to be able to generate those things and do that. So if you like contests, if you like getting free stuff from us, go fill out that survey and just take a few seconds of your time to do. Believe me, I hate surveys. I hate doing surveys. But we would really appreciate your time. I took the time to do the survey as well. But we would really appreciate it. Again, just go to the website, tfradio.net. There should be a link set up for that, I think, off the main page. Or you should be able to find it from there. If not, Brian will make a link because I said so. But anyway, really appreciate that if you do that for us. That would just be enormously huge. And if you already done it, thank you. We appreciate that. So we just need as many of those as can. Of course, tell your friends, share the show, tell them about it at your shop, that kind of stuff. You know, we want to reach more people and have more fun. Yes. So anyway, again, that's our show. Thanks so much for tuning in. And please tune in next time when it'll be Fanboy Versus.
This has been Fanboy Versus. Visit us at tfradio.net for show notes and to subscribe to the podcast. Follow us on Twitter at tfradio for news and updates. Like the podcast? Leave us feedback on iTunes. Copyright 2011 Radio Free Cybertron.